Welcome to BayREN's first in-person forum in a couple years. Woo! And so we're so delighted for those of you who joined us in person, as well as for about 2/3 of our attendees are joining us online. So we're working to make a equitable event for those who've taken time to come and those who we'll start this morning with a little bit of information about BayREN itself, in case you're new, and then we'll move right into the content. My name is Barry Hooper. I work for the San Francisco Department of the Environment, and I am a senior green building coordinator, and also San Francisco's county representative for Codes and Standards Forum. Joining us on Zoom, just FYI, and you're not don't already know that you're a panelist, then you will not need your video camera today, and your interaction with us will be via the chat your interaction with other people should be via the chat feature. If you have questions to pose about the content of our speak today, please put them into the Q&A, and that is the only place where we're going to be able to recognize them. So definitely, if you have a question in the chat. We will break for questions at the end of each session. We'll go into that in a little more detail when we get to so if you're new to Zoom, welcome. But the chat button is the button that's labeled chat, and the Q&A button is also directly labeled. And if you want to raise your hand to pose a question, that's in the middle of the toolbar, but I don't recommend that because we're going to be looking for the Q&A. What is BayREN? BayREN is a set of programs hosted by the Association of Bay Area Governments to help local governments advance energy and environmental policy, to build capacity for local governments, as well as to aid in reducing both local and regional carbon emissions and to promote a healthy and BayREN is the deliverer of quite a number of programs, currently including the Single Family Home Plus program, which offers substantial rebates for home efficiency improvements and notably efficient electrification. Those can be, if you're planning a project, those will also dovetail with the fourth federal tax credit, so I won't go into that in a lot of detail today, but just FYI, if you hadn't heard, the Inflation Reduction Act includes thousands of dollars of incentives for homeowners, and also a lot of improvement in rates are coming up, but the single family home program offers technical assistance as well as a direct financial assistance, so really a great resource. BayREN hosts the Green Labeling Program, aiding local governments in implementing programs to recognize energy efficiency and advance it through assessing buildings, particularly at time of sale, or other specific valuable times that are valuable based on local. Multifamily program, or the Bay Area Multifamily Building Enhancements, or BAMBI, goes by a number of names. In all cases, it is the single source of assistance, project development, and substantial financial incentives, as well as connections to financing. It's available both to affordable and market rate multifamily. Business program focuses primarily on harder to reach small businesses, and directly is piloting a pay for performance model to advance and improve both our local economy while innovating in terms of what incentives can be offered and how ratepayers can be certain value of their investment. Water districts on a water upgrade program for single-family residential. It's limited to areas where the water districts have engaged, but please do contact staff if you water district and you're interested. And then today we're hosting the Codes and Standards program is hosting today's event. What the Codes and Standards program is a joint effort of collaboration among counties throughout the region, again facilitated by ABAG, to develop and implement tools and best practices to train our staff in order to advance improvement in energy code compliance, as well as to support development and implementation of enhanced energy policy. The context for that is both to help the state meet its energy efficiency goals, as well as to help local governments meet their carbon emission and efficiency goals. In terms of REACH code support, that's often a particular focus of our work in codes and standards. You can get a lot of information on the website and assist you from the outset of conceiving of a project through to model ordinances, cost effectiveness, reference to cost effectiveness reports, and understanding what the legal requirements are. We can offer technical assistance to help you if you have questions, as well as customized trainings, which can be instrumental in when you both of REACH codes as well as of just the energy code trainings are offered in 2 formats: free, live, and online, and they are generally offered on demand, 80 to 90 minutes in length. We also have an on-demand water heater training, and then we have upcoming in September a couple of heat pump water heater trainings, one for contractors and the other primarily for building department staff. We currently offer zero net energy or zero net carbon technical assistance to local governments to improve their municipal buildings so that we can walk the talk in our own facilities. That includes direct technical assistance about what's feasible, as well as template language for procurement to help you with implementation of those items. Today's presentation will be posted to our website, and also you'll receive a link as a follow-up to today's event. Today's comments, both for me and any other speaker, do not necessarily represent the Association of Bay Area Governments, but we are looking forward to some fantastic content which we think will be helpful and instructive. So, why are we here? We're talking, in BayREN, the Bay Area, there are 109 local governments, and a common feature is a growing recognition that existing buildings are a substantial source of carbon emissions, as well as a substantial opportunity for energy efficiency improvement. And so we've been working particularly successfully on REACH codes, primarily focused on new construction. And the question is what to do about existing buildings over time. How do we meet those long-term goals and take advantage of opportunities to benefit local stakeholders, as well as to provide some certainty about meeting carbon and emission reduction. That's true in San Francisco, as true as anywhere else. That happens to be where I work. And so when we look out at the local landscape, the built environment exists, and it is the primary source of emissions, particularly since we currently are one of the local governments that requires all new construction to be all electric. And like most of the region, we benefit from very clean electricity supplied by both our CCA or available as well from PG&E. So in recent years, we brought together stakeholders to ask this question: what would make sense? How could we meet these goals? What's the path forward? Particularly looking at the largest buildings, which are characteristic of downtown San Francisco, and the existing buildings work group, so one subset of our broader Zero Emission Buildings Task Force. They give us a lot of feedback, and I would recommend the report, but really it boils down to 3 main messages: that there was a need for a clear signal to provide predictability over time. As well, that signal needs to help facilitate investment over time, that carbon emissions are not something we could solve instantly. It's going to take a lot of work and some technical innovation, as well as pilots and case studies. And then the last main message was really a desire for recognition of those who are first movers or who have really made substantial progress in limiting their emissions. And so those recommendations are directly reflected in San Francisco's recently adopted revised climate action plan. And it's a long document that has a lot of detail to it. So I'll just highlight 5 quick things that really reflect those recommendations for existing buildings. So we have the benefit of a longstanding energy benchmarking and disclosure program. We're just about to go into implementation of a requirement that the largest commercial buildings would not just have the option to procure 100% renewable electricity from the CCA, but must do so. And there are 3 concepts in the climate action plan that really directly reflect those recommendations. So to provide assistance in terms of planning for investment over time, and we've been developing tools and strategies and outreach about that. The city has adopted the specific goal recommended by stakeholders of having a date certain target for eliminating emissions. So the largest commercial buildings, it is their goal that they be decarbonized by 2035 and begin in the coming years to provide regular progress reports of their action in pursuit of that goal. And then where there are fees that necessary for folks who don't meet those goals and don't comply, those fees should be invested in affordable housing, so helping those who need the most help. So these goals are part of why the city has committed, as part of the President Biden and the White House's building performance accelerator program that we've committed to adopting a building performance standard by April 2024, reflecting this broad outline. And so the question facing us, I think, is really similar to the question facing other communities with similar goals. How do you actually do that? That's a pretty big lift. It's a pretty challenging thing to do. How does it work? What is a building performance standard? That's what we're going to be going over today. And so I'd like, though, before we get into our speakers, to introduce our county representatives. And if you're a county BayREN rep, if you could come over to the podium labeled Q&A, we'll introduce you. And I believe one or two of us are joining online. Need to do anything to recognize Tanya? So first, I'd like to introduce our representative from Santa Clara County and ask you a question. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Veach, and I am a Senior Sustainability Analyst with the County of Santa Clara Office of Sustainability. Nice to be with you all.
Tanya, what do you hope to learn about building performance standards today?
Great question, Barry. I'm interested to learn more about what staffing resources a city or county needs in order to implement a performance standard.
We're also joined by Demian Hardman. Demian, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us about what you'd like to learn today?
Yeah, thanks, Barry. It's Demian Hardman Saldana with Contra Costa County Department of Conservation and Development. I'm the BayREN rep for the county. And what I'd like to learn is similar to Tanya, resources, but more on the resources side in terms of what resources are available, maybe at the local, regional, or state level to help support this work. For local government staff that might be interested in doing this kind of work.
In person? Kellen, who are you?
And on mute. Or can you hear me?
You're doing great.
Okay, great.
But keep your mouth very close to the mic was the lesson I've learned this morning.
Mic's over here and the cameras are here. All right, I'm going first, so I'm checking this out for everybody. Hi, I'm Kellen Damon. I work with the County Marin in the Community Development Agency. And I believe Brian Reyes is around here too. He works for Marin as well. What I'd like to learn today is how building performance standards work with smaller counties. And Marin, we don't have a lot of, big, large buildings. So that's what I'd like to find out today.
Join us. What do you hope to learn today?
Good morning. I'm Deborah Elliott from Napa County, and I'm interested to learn, kind of similar to Kellen, about how smaller jurisdictions fit into the building performance standards and how we can support our jurisdictions in Napa. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. J. Paul Harrington. I work for Solano EDC, and we represent the County of Solano for BayREN. And what I'm hoping to learn today are really what the value adds for a program like this or a policy like this is, or the pros and cons for it.
Emily, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Emily Alvarez with Stop Waste, who's the Alameda County representative. I was really looking forward to being there in person, but I got my booster and it's made me feel all kinds of things. So I'm here online, and I'm interested to learn about the difference between building performance standards and benchmarking, and for jurisdictions that may be doing benchmarking already, how that could translate into a future building performance standard.
And Christine.
Good morning. I am Christine Condon with the County of Sonoma, and I'm the Codes and Standards rep for the county. I guess my question is, what might be the most effective scale of implementation for this type of performance standard in the Bay Area? And are the performance standards a policy for a single community, a county, or a regional government? Thanks for asking.
Great. That's great. So we have a lot of questions about both the scale of local, excuse me. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. And Alero, would you like to introduce yourself? What would you like to learn today?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alero Moju, and I'm with San Mateo County Office of Sustainability. And I work on many of the different BayREN programs. And our question for today is, given the ongoing capacity and workforce shortage that exists within our building and planning department, how can we go about integrating performance standards into existing programs and processes?
Great, thank you. Wrestle with those exact questions. So today we're going through the introduction. You've heard a little bit about why we're here from perspective of San Francisco, as well as the other 8 other counties of the Bay Area. And so we're going to move into our panel examining policy, defining building performance standards, and looking at some local government examples.